Hey guys, Carmen here with Verge Permaculture. I love teaching the PDC. It's so exciting to turn students on to the permaculture design process and to teach all about soil health and forest gardening and the principles and leading people by the hand through that process so that they can build beautiful, abundant, and nurturing spaces for themselves in their own backyards or front yards, in my case. So one of the things that we like to do is optimize the use of every single space on your property. Now that comes with a little bit of time and a lot of observation. So I've been on this property for almost 30 years, and I really know my microclimates extremely well through observation. But there's always those spaces that you're not going to grow much in. So what do you do with those spaces? So we're talking about spaces that might be underneath white spruce trees or other coniferous species whose roots are very vampiric, and it's very difficult to grow productive edible species underneath. But there are precious opportunities such as that give us the opportunity to bring in another another kind of yield off of our property. And one of those yields is sanctuary space or serenity spaces, places for quiet zones, places to sit and be in your actual landscape. So when I bought this property about 29 years ago, I knew that this area, they had 4 boys. And this area apparently used to have a gate here, and they used to work on their cars in this back area. So I knew contamination might be a little bit of an issue back here. So it was also a very sharp corner in the back corner of our pie-shaped lot, and light resources extremely limited here. So I thought, what can I do with this space? So early on, we built this large pergola structure here with the intention of growing hops up it. And at the end of the summer, this is completely covered in hops. And then I had this idea, why don't I build this into a Serenity Zone? So of course I had a ton of old sod because this whole property used to be completely covered in grass. So I had a pile of sod in the back that was pretty well non-viable anymore. And I thought, let's build, this landscape needs a bit of topography. So I started building Sod Mountain. And Sod Mountain then was planted out, and it's really early season here, and things are just starting to come out. And then for my 60th birthday, I bought myself, this was my present to myself, this beautiful face mask, ceramic mask, that sits beautifully in this space here and inspires the name now of Gaia's Garden. It's a little zone back here, a little Serenity Zone, and it's absolutely a wonderful use of this space. It's a total focal point. We have people, when they come on our eco yard tours, as soon as they come around the corner through the side gate and they glance here, they make a beeline for this area because it's such a focal point. But it's a beautiful way to turn this into a productive space, but not the yield of vegetables or fruit, but the yield of peace and tranquility. So we often set up a little fountain in here. This is a fantastic place to disappear from the world for a while and just, get recentered. We live in crazy times. One of the things that I really encourage my students to embrace through the permaculture design process is that if your design is all about utility, then your design is failing you. So we need to incorporate strategies into our designs which nurture us on multiple levels, not just through our food. So having these serenity zones, little quiet spaces, as well as family gathering spaces, or a little space to put your feet, bare feet on a little patch of grass. Those are all beautiful strategies that help us feel like we really belong. We create a connection with our landscape, and it allows us to fall in love with our spaces no matter where we live. So I really encourage you to think about all of those other kinds of yields when you're designing your property, and make sure that you design yourself into it as well. So anyway, thanks for allowing me to share this little spot. We're going to go and check out a few other little spots in the yard in which we've done something similar. So we'll be right with you. So hey guys, I'm sitting here at the end of my garden bed, my main garden bed in one of my favorite spots in the whole yard. So underneath these beautiful, glorious crab apple trees in full bloom right now, in this really lovely spot where I love to have my morning coffee. This is such a fantastic use of this space. I couldn't think of anything better. And I told Kristen, if we ever move, we totally have to find a spot just like this, because it's these little moments where you can sit back from a different perspective and vantage point and view your garden and start planning what you'd like to do to create more abundance and beauty in your land. This is an invaluable little spot. So, part of the permaculture design process is learning how to nurture ourselves again and not relying on the outside world to provide that for us. So when we can have little spaces like this where we've got a little bit of artwork, we've got a bench to sit on, we've got the feeling of enclosure that these beautiful mature trees provide us, these are wonderful moments that I absolutely enjoy. So this is totally one of my favorite spots in the garden. Another beautiful little Serenity Zone. And I've got another one to show you just over here. So this is another area in my yard that was probably my first little Serenity Zone. It was at the end of this area that the tomato bed is in this year, and this hail structure, which is behind our videographer Ben, was once my culinary herb garden. So it was a space that I really loved spending time in. I had medicinal herbs and culinary herbs and so on. But this was a very, very hot yard when I first came here, because the trees just weren't as big. So it was lovely to have a little space like this to sit down and take a break and rest and just cool off a little bit. So I built this funky little all-piece one structure. Had an old mirror from IKEA that we mounted up here, and then you can see these antlers up here. What's really interesting, we used to have another set up there, and I don't know if you can see this, but if you look at these edges here, we wondered what was going on here. We realized that the squirrels love these, and they've been coming in to chew on this and sharpen their teeth on this. So it's been kind of a really lovely use of a resource that we received free, and we just thought it was kind of a cool art piece, but in the end it ended up really contributing to our ecology a little bit. So this is another little quiet zone. I can sit here, listen to the water in the adjacent fountain, and it's just super shady, super lovely. This is a really large mock orange tree, and it's going to be blooming in the not too distant future, and when it blooms, the fragrance is unbelievable. So to sit here in the evening with a glass of wine and smelling these beautiful flowers, it's really a wonderful moment. So, thinking about scent and shade, and we know that certain times of the day scents are much stronger. So right now on our property, the apple trees are in full bloom. All the fruit trees are blooming, and when the evening comes, that's when the scents become amplified. So it's a really sweet moment in my garden here. Love it. So we're going to show you another spot just over here. So folks, this is an area in my garden that is in shade most of the day. This is my kitchen window here, and this has always sort of been a little bit of a cooler, wetter spot. It's a little tiny bit lower right in this area. And so of course we wanted to maximize or optimize the use of every space in our garden. So we chose plants in here that can thrive in the shade. Now there's a little bit of sun coming in right now because the Amur maple doesn't have its leaves fully open yet. So typically during the day this is in full shade. So we've got hostas in here. These are really monstrous hostas, absolutely beautiful. And these giant chive plants. Now these are incredibly robust. And as I mentioned, most of the time they are in complete shade during the day. And we tend to think of chives as a plant that loves full sun. But you can see chives is one of those plants that just seem to be able to thrive everywhere. So we chose them for this location because we knew they would do well here. Behind me we have a structure under which we have planted Hearty Kiwis. So these used to be in an incredibly hot spot in my yard, and they did not do well. They were really stressed out, So we moved them here, and they just love it, even though they don't. This one here gets quite a bit more sun than this one over here. But yeah, there's lots and lots of blossoms that are going to happen this year. So we're hoping for some good fruit production. But it's just a lovely, lovely feature, and a little bit of artwork in here as well. The other thing I love about this particular space is that we will often use this space and put in some myceliated product. That's something that, you know, typically blue oyster mushroom, and we get a lovely flushes of mushrooms because this space stays quite moist, so it's the perfect spot for those guys. So we've got a few locations on our property where we do get different mushroom species flushing from time to time, and hopefully we'll continue to add some as we find the perfect environment for those. So yeah, just a wonderful way to use an otherwise, you know, what one would think an otherwise useless area, but for us it just adds so much value and beauty. So yeah, that's pretty well it for our little quiet sanctuary places and little places of, you know, trying to optimize the use of every little hidey hole on your property. I mean, we do have more, and we're developing more actually, just trying to really use every bit of our property in a productive way. So I do encourage you to look beyond what the standard definition of yield is on your property, and explore opportunities to build in a little bit of interest, those quiet zones, places to reflect, get out of the sun, listen to water, create beauty, and overall just add to the nurturing environment of your property. So folks, if you have any questions, do leave comments on in the comment section below, and we'd be happy to answer those. And enjoy.